And I didn't want to set up the camera, so I'm doing this.
Is everybody gonna be online?
Shouldn't be, but yeah.
See what happens when I sit down.
Sutherlin start leaving business.
That's what he keeps saying. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. Maybe try to.
Speaking of language.
Actually, I think those souls could.
Good friends.
Okay, let's all rise for the pledge.
Sorry.
Oh, I gotta start this one
You guys
first.
started first.
Oh my goodness. I wanted to do the pledge because we've already done it twice today. City of Sutherlin Planning Commission meeting Tuesday, October 18th, 2020, 7 p.m. The Sutherlin Civic Auditorium. The agenda, now we may all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone from the media?
No.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 20th.
I second.
Commissioner Allenwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Maloney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hogsett.
Aye.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Sarnowski.
Yes.
Chair Lisa Woods.
Soul Asylum Code Amendment Workshop.
So, kind of what we talked about last month, psilocybin. City Council has passed that ordinance to put it on the November 8th election for it to be a 2-year prohibition in the city limits. If that does not pass, fail, however you want to look at it. So if that does not pass and the city has to then enact these code amendments, so then in our development code, we would have these rules and regulations pertaining to the ORS 457A, the Psilocybin Act. So what these are is because this is kind of end of the year, it'll be a rush with the timing of sending everything. We've already notified the LCD for our timelines. Next week, our 20-day notice to the Planning Commission will have to go out in anticipation if it doesn't pass. So with that being said, you guys have to kind of be on board with these code amendments, or we need to review, go over any changes, recommendations you may have that we could, talk with our city attorney about, because at the next meeting, if we have to proceed with this, you guys will be making a recommendation to city council, because they will have to hold their normal city council and then an emergency city council meeting. So these are be in place come January 2nd. So did you guys have a chance to review them?
Yes.
And I think per our discussion last month, I think Adam had suggested the conditional use permit in those 2 zones, which was a great idea.
Yes.
We're making it conditionally permitted, that automatically any application comes before you guys. So like the hours of operation, the fencing, the, security, any type of conditions of approval could be put on there at
So
that time.
that would be set at a further date.
Right, so if
We can
these,
establish the condition of use.
yeah, so by putting, put the definitions in there, and then the service center and the manufacturing, only allowing them to be conditionally permitted in like the C3 zone, the MU, the mixed use, and then the general industrial zone, the M2. By having it conditionally permitted, an applicant, property owner would have to submit the conditional use permit application. Those automatically come, because they're a type 3 application, they automatically come to you guys.
And then are those conditions already set in place? Or is this-
You can write the new conditions.
Yeah, so in section 4.5, the conditional use permit section, it outlines, I mean, your hours of operation, any parking, your lighting, security, landscaping, it goes into.
Do any conditions have to be in writing, or can more conditions be added at the time?
So,
That's for each individual project.
yeah, so they'll submit an application, like for a conditional use permit. And then I'll end up doing a staff report with my recommendations, and a lot of those items will be addressed. If when it comes to you guys and you guys seem other conditions deeming fit, you can add those. So you could approve that staff report with additional conditions.
Is there a fee associated with the conditional use permit?
Yes.
And is this, do we know what that is?
It's a one-time thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
$725 plus their fees. So, because we have to notify the news review, and that's, I think now over $200 that they're required to do.
Is that something that can be added for this particular type of business to have a larger conditional use permit? You can't do that?
No, and in the ORS, you can't impose any additional fees, taxes. Like the city can't tax them. Like I know cities can get marijuana tax. They can't do any additional taxes on this.
So just to be clear, the psilocybin service center is more for retail use.
Correct.
Administration of
Right, sorry.
Okay.
And then the manufacturing facility.
I just want to make sure that
Opium.
there's a clear difference between like if they're manufacturing strictly for to go out to pharmaceutical or medical, that's different than something, it's got a more established process. It's not people coming in to purchase it for use, personal use.
What was so the manufacturing facilities can have a retail associated with it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can't restrict that.
No, it would have to be part of their application.
If
Can
they
that
apply
be
for,
part of the conditional use where you could say you can manufacture it, but you can't sell
No, because they're both conditionally permitted,
it? Yeah.
how we have in
So
the
it's
zone.
tied in
but
to
if
that.
if they apply for manufacturing, they can't sell it on site.
No, they
Oh.
can.
Thank you.
If they're manufacturing
Only,
they
Yeah.
come in and apply for a manufacturing
Yeah, yeah.
CUP.
I
They
thought
cannot,
in
but
whatever
if
the,
they decide they want to do the other, they have to apply for a separate CUP for the selling.
okay. See, I was under the impression that if you agreed
You
to
did
one,
either.
you automatically agreed to both.
If you can
And-
apply for it together. One or together.
So the conditions for manufacturing are obviously gonna be different than for retail. So obviously if they go manufacturing / retail.
See, I
Yeah, the
misunderstood that because I thought,
So
if-
the conditions would be.
are you related to the co-location part
yeah,
where,
Mhm.
and we could ask our city attorney to clarify that.
because that's what I'd be concerned about. Like I said, I don't really have a problem with manufacturing.
Right, I
I
don't-
do have a problem with the
For personal use. Yeah. Distributed.
Well, and the Oregon Health Authority has put it like when it's a service center,
See, and that's what
you
I
have
thought.
to administer it on site.
Yeah,
But I mean, like our questions arise, you go there, you have to have your interview with that administrator, and then they administer the psilocybin. Is there a rule that you have to wait? Is there someone going to be?
I think some of the things that we put in there was like, finding out if they need to have professional licensed medical staff. Does there need to be somebody there for potential overdoses? All these other things. come into play.
so
Every comment that I received, every one of those were sent to our attorney.
Okay.
He reviewed it, and that's with his help and city, Jamie and Christie, this is.
So when we get into the condition side of things, we can revisit some of the more details. Okay. So we're just laying the foundation
Yeah.
for if necessary.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of questions coming up. So you administrate this drug, but then like,
Yeah, this is one
they
of those
just
things
wander around
nobody's
out
gonna
there and
know
they're
until
off
probably
facility for
present themselves.
2 hours.
Well, and is there even a requirement to have a ride? Or are we gonna
That's what I
have,
don't understand, yeah.
we're gonna have more tweakers wandering?
I agree.
So we'll definitely talk to our city attorney about the manufacturing and the service center.
Yeah, 'cause I was under the impression that if you agreed to one under the, whatever the way they had it written, you were pretty much agreeing
You can
to,
only do one or the other.
you can only do.
No, that's what you
Yeah.
were thinking. Yeah. and
I
wrote-
was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that if you agreed to the manufacturing, that it's written into it. That
They
if
can also have a
open and
manufacturer.
manufacturing, they're basically entitled to being able to sell on site.
So they could be a combination service and
Well,
manufacturer.
we
all
just
on
have,
one
we just
site.
have conditions maybe on both sides, if that's the assumption.
That's assuming the state will let us do that.
Yeah.
Because if they have it written into whatever they've come up with that says, okay, well, if you're agreeing to have a manufacturing facility, you're pretty much agreeing to having a retail.
I know, but what I'm saying is you could just have the conditions
Yeah.
in place. That way, if they decide that they're gonna be retail has conditions.
Well, and we're making the assumption somebody wants to open one.
Okay.
And again, like the maps last time showed, which I didn't include in this packet. What we're proposing them in and with the zone and what we submitted to the state was with a 500-foot buffer from residential zones. Plus all, private schools, parochial schools, public schools, parks. So the area, it limits the area significantly.
Did that also get included for those who have like home daycare centers, and that type of things? I don't know if that's included in there.
I think it is.
And also, what about, I know I had asked previously about like for dance schools and martial arts schools and things that are affiliated specifically with children
And I don't know
in
if-
that area.
If Chad directly answered that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that I sent that to them.
I know it was part of the notes, but I don't know
Right.
that,
Do you guys have any other questions, concerns, changes?
This establishes good metrics. So let's get something in place just in case.
I thought that, it was 1,000 feet, not 500 feet.
So it is 1,000, but if there's a barrier, so like I-5, or if there is a giant mountain in the ORS, they've said that if there's a barrier, a geographic barrier that prohibits kids from walking past it, then it could be down to 500 feet
Would that
from
be-
the school.
would
but-
that-
Yeah, there's a few in lettered areas that establish those special uses or mixed use commercial.
So would that include?
Anyone know who's in here because they have Canada? And then they talk about it.
Put restrictions as to what else can be in that,
Yeah.
within that business.
Would that
Right.
also include, because a lot of the schools have bus stops where kids get dropped off at the bus stops and not necessarily at their school, but they're a distance from the school, which would expand that reach. So the kids are getting dropped off. Are you making sense?
Yeah, and I don't think that would,
I think that's where it falls.
That's all.
yeah. Because I know what our city attorney said is that you can't discriminate so heavily. I mean, you have to put ordinances in place and rules, but still because the state will be able to weigh in. It's like we had to do our 35-day notice, so we submitted that on October 11th. So they could come back
So they
and
come out too
deny, they
restrictive.
could deny all of this.
So they can come back too restrictive, then you just go, you guys.
Yeah, and
we're just
that's
gonna
what
do whatever we want.
our attorney said, you can't get too restrictive where,
That's the good reason.
yeah.
I think keep it on the far end of town. Down by the railroad track.
And you mean in another city?
Incredibly, it's
Very, very,
Agreed.
the far east end.
the trailer, yeah, the trailer place will deal with the one down there by the 130, the 135 exit.
Did you have any visitors when you were working down there?
They were camping out behind it.
Prime real estate. So we need to call for a motion for this.
No motion. This is just wanted to kind of go over it with you guys, so there's nothing surprising if we are sitting here next month having to recommend a city council approval. We need to have these kind of finalized where there's no secrets. You guys don't have any questions or concerns or anything to add, change.
So I
So
have a
if
question.
these, yeah,
If the ban goes into place for 2 years or the kind of whole tour, will they revisit that when the 2 years get close?
yeah, so during that
Last year.
second year, the last year of that prohibition, city council has said they want to revisit it to see what's working, what's not working in other jurisdictions that,
And then we kind of hold on, this will kind of get put on hold,
Yeah.
but you'd have a structure. Gotcha.
yep, we'll still have this where we could amend it, add to it, change from there.
That same kind of thing with marijuana.
Marijuana, the law was written a little differently, if I'm understanding it correctly, where it allowed a city without taking it to an additional vote to ban it. And so the city of Sutherlin opted for that moratorium. Where this in the state statute, they wrote it in that it has to, once it passed in November 2020, the state organized a board of people to come up with these rules and guidelines, creating the state statute. And then in that, you have to take it back to a vote to put a prohibition on it.
Interesting how that more restrictive. I guess it depends on your perspective of marijuana or weed comparatively.
Well, they learned,
That,
yeah,
they need to be.
they realized people can actually
Make a choice.
ban it entirely, so they revised their verbiage.
It is interesting that, I mean, you can't tax it as a jurisdiction or.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. At least with the marijuana, you get some revenue if you have a place. What's the purpose of this?
Yeah,
Other than just opium dens and wandering tweakers.
Right, either way, it's a cash business.
so yeah, if a question or thought arises in the next week or so, let us know, but we will reach out with those couple questions to our city attorney to get definite answers.
I need to make it better for everybody else. Email out that map that you had,
Okay,
because that was very beneficial last time, seeing the map. And
well, do you
put
guys
that-
still have it or do you throw your stuff
Give it
away?
We saw
keep it up.
Well, because I have to pick up after you. I will email it out or print you guys some and so you have them.
But I think that makes more sense. Trying to reading this and that, you see that definition, that makes more sense, answers a lot of questions.
Yeah, and they would be available on our website because they were submitted with the city council packet and they would be with the last planning commission packet, but I can email them out.
Monthly activity report.
Any questions on Ford's Pond since our expert's here?
Yes, when is that close to being like wrapped up?
Wrapped up.
Like,
What
all the way
part?
around?
What I can say is we finally received the secured all the notice received from the different funding agencies. So there's 5 different ones, a total about, with the grants that we're receiving and funds that's been donated and the hard work that the Friends of Fort Spawn have done, there's about $3 million. We are in the process of negotiating the scope of work and the fee with the architect and the engineer. We had our first meeting yesterday. Their first estimate, we're about 1.5 billion over budget. And I think everybody knows why. It's just carryover inflation and COVID, material supplies. But what I can say, so with the different grants that we've received, a lot of them are specific dollars that have to go to a specific item. So last week was, I think, successful for the city because I met with DSL and our low-end consultant for the path, the additional 0.9 miles. And we're able to use part of the 2018 delineation along with the nationwide 42 delineation that we're currently working on. So we're going from basically 1,200 lineal feet of boardwalk down to about 640. And that's a huge savings. I'm just letting you know that, but it's probably where we can actually accomplish that path all the way around now. And then we've reached out and we've received an estimate at this time for a 4-stall, multi-gender, ADA accessible, a changing table, for instance, with a 16 by 20 pavilion off of that. For the restrooms, looks like that's going to come in the budget. And then 2 additional pavilions, 16 by 20, that would be going located down somewhere around the inclusive play area. The 2 items, that big rock items, if you will, was the inclusive play equipment. Basically, it's about $700,000 over budget. And the RV/bus overflow parking area, that came in a little bit higher. So what we will do with that is we'll scale back to get that within budget. And with the inclusive play equipment, as we get through this, some of those items are just going to be deleted or postponed until.
Do you have a fee schedule for the RV side of things? Is that
That has not been discussed at this time. It's parking, it's not camping.
oh, okay.
So there's no overnight camping at the city park.
Gotcha. So it's
Is
just
there something that's
longer
gonna
parking spaces.
prevent that, as we see that
Pardon that?
people are parking in our
So,
overnight all the time.
yeah, so during the day, there's really not a lot the city can do to address that, but if they're camped overnight, they can. And we are seeing several that are coming during the day and hanging out all day. We have an individual that's hanging out at Highway 138, the parking down there, but they leave at night.
But at the Central Park, I hang out there, hook up. It's very comfortable.
So we've heard about that, so they're looking in to see how because that particular outlet is not lockable, so they're gonna have to change something there to do that. And I don't even know if we just break it or shut that one off. So he's his cameras right now too. Yeah.
There's also someone who is camping out in the parking lot over at Dollar Tree. Yeah.
They've taken a permanent residence.
Yeah, they've been there for weeks. Just camping.
Oh, is that the truck that's got?
And
I think they're trying to
it
repair
becomes
it,
a
you know, what they
consolidation
are, they
point,
aren't.
so there's people that come in and congregate. I'm sure they're not just hanging out.
Yeah, where it's
Walking
on
cookies.
private property like that, it's a little
Yeah.
That's different.
And then city right of way or city park.
Yeah, the city park when they're definitely pulling up some residency, so to speak.
Jump back real quick, wrap it up on Porch Pond. When we discussed this, we said August 15th was our completion date. I'm just gonna say that's impossible, but I'm trying to hold everybody to it. It'll probably be late fall of 2023, but that was discussed again yesterday, and I said, yes, that's our date. So I'm trying to push that through just because everything gets delayed. So it might be a situation in order to speed things up. The city might end up purchasing some of the items like inclusive play equipment to have them on hand just because it takes so long to get anything.
It'd be cheaper to get it now.
True. But we have, honestly, we have a long ways to go to get through this, to get to that point where we can say, we all agree on this, but we are working on it, and it is going to happen.
Is kayaking permitted on Porch Pond?
Yes, it is.
It is.
You can have electric motors too, 5 miles per hour, I believe it is. It's not very deep. So the overall depth is probably averages about 5 feet depth, 5 feet deep. But on the north shore, about 30 yards out, it probably averages about 15 feet deep. So it's not very. That's all I have on Porch Pond, unless you guys have some questions regarding that.
And our exit 135 sign, which is recently almost complete, 99.9% complete by your planning commission member, Adam.
I think it looks awesome.
Yes.
Good job.
Looks good, Adam.
You get the lights on it, it'll look even better.
There are some lights
Oh, there's lights in it.
in it. Oh, there, you have more?
Yeah, the Sutherlin script has lights behind it, so it'll be a halo effect around
Ah,
the letter.
very nice. It's nice and bright and colorful.
Clean.
Cleaned it up, yeah.
The downtown parking lot, this is the one behind the Plaza Park. What I can say is I've received an estimate for that, but I haven't had an opportunity to discuss that with the city manager yet. So we're not in the design phase or anything yet. We're just in the estimate phase on it. So we will see how that goes. That'll be funded through the urban renewal process.
And speaking of the Plaza Park,
Yes.
I'd say arbor, but ended up not really being
The
a
grand
traditional.
entranceway.
Yeah, the
Yes.
grand entrance sign that the school, the FFA at the school designed and built was installed this week.
I saw them putting that up. I didn't even know that was going in there.
What does
Yeah.
it say at the top of it? I couldn't-
It says welcome
Okay.
on the streets on central side, but on the back side, it says thank you to Lauren and Dina Young because they donated that.
Oh,
Yeah, and then the FFA has their logo on 2 of the sides. Yeah. Yeah, so they donated it to be and always be a city park.
The sidewalk extension Grove to Opal, this is something that's been on a council priority to finish that eastern section of sidewalk on the south side, clear out to the eastern city limits. It did come in, I think, about 16,000 above the engineer's estimate on that, but there was funds in the streets and sidewalks to cover that additional expense. Council awarded that to JRT. And it is expected to be done by the end of March of 2023. So that's pretty much the last segment on the south side. And then we might jump over, there's a short section on the other side next year. But annually, the council's been budgeting $80,000 for the sidewalk extensions. Non-paral, I have no updates. Except for completion date of 2023. It's just been a tough go out there again, materials and supplies.
Lot will be completed next year.
Supposed, yes, next year.
Next year, that's the next year.
I don't know if it's part of the city or not. Is there been any talk about improving signage to Cooper Creek? Because almost miss it if you don't know where it's at. There's no
There-
real-
To my knowledge, I don't think there's,
Just,
Yeah, and I don't know, because this is Douglas County,
yeah.
so I don't know if they're planning.
I know
or-
that
They have that one on the corner that somebody did as an Eagle Scout project a couple of years ago.
Oh, on south
Yeah,
side.
Southside.
Yeah, it's kind of faded.
Yeah,
It's big.
I can bring that up though. The parks director for the county's out for the 28th, but I have a meeting with him regarding discussion, dry camping potentially at Cooper Creek. So I could bring that up.
yeah, just curious. It would be nice addition to our area.
Huh? Any other questions on there?
Of the historic building, we have the rotation. Is that the one that's on the corner there?
Yeah, it's the old bank building that received the Oregon Main Street grant.
Is that start moving in?
Yes. So they started doing the
HVAC.
HVAC system, they
Yeah.
took off the roof
We've done that.
and
I'm not sure if we awarded the asbestos statement. I don't think it's been done yet. The roofing, HVAC, all that, I believe the existing has been removed. So we're moving forward. I'm not sure exactly where we're at. on it, but we are moving forward.
That's gonna be nice.
Do we know what's going on with that building that's right next to Doug's Hole? The one where the whole front side's fallen off?
oh, to the Delphos on North State.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's
It's,
changed on the north.
It's
I
on
don't
the
know.
corner.
Corner of-
I know
Does he
what
use
you're
it for
talking about, but
storage?
The awning fell off. in the
Oh,
storm.
yeah, the whole awning front piece.
Who
fell
even
off.
owns that?
I'm not sure of this. I know his first name, but I don't remember his last name.
It's been empty as long as I've lived here.
It's just falling apart.
Hopefully with all the things happening and people cleaning up, that maybe he'll get the drive to.
How long you lived here, Adam?
No, I'm saying right now with the urban renewal and with,
18
There's a-
Oh, you know,
I told him,
wanna
I
get
tell
big
you,
already.
don't be negative.
What's that?
I'm not. I'm not.
There's that auto parts, you know, there's that saying, do something to get off the pot.
Say that much is really
Yeah.
Are you done with the activity report?
Are you guys done?
Think so.
And-
Do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
I had something, but that train of thought derailed and it's long gone.
Uh-oh.
I'll remember it on the way home.
Public comment? No.
No.
Commission comments? Okay. It's the only reason I do this.
Just the.
I never had him.
That is